What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ken, aka Mr. Gentleman of Mr. Gentleman Like the Podcast. And once again, I gotta tell y'all about Anchor. Why y'all should get Anchor? Well, for one, it's free. They create a tool that allow you to create and edit your podcast right from your phone or laptop. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and many more. You could, the best important part, you can make money. Who wouldn't want to make money? It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So if y'all want to make a podcast, just download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. This is your boy Ken, and have a good night. You are now listening to Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast Season 2. Chill! Hello, everybody. This is your boy Ken, aka Mr. Gentleman, the YPG, and the Premier Boy Podcast. And welcome to another episode of Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast. Hope all is well. And on this episode, we are back with the Date and Talk series part 3. Of course, so we got another special guest, another beautiful woman who, gonna talk about her love life. Asking some questions, and stuff like that. You already know what to do. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the first song.
What's up? This is your girl, Beauty Bella, and you are listening to Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. And that's the time I give y'all the general fact quote of the day. And today's quote of the day is never lose hope. And what I mean by that is no matter how bad things are, never lose hope because we always get better at the end. And that is today, Mr. General fact quote of the day.
Nigga, niggas, coochie, shit, fucking. Niggas,
Yes, hello everybody. Before you listen to this episode, the background on my episode was kind of acting up, so I apologize for that. But this was a really great interview. I apologize for the background noise. Okay, enjoy this episode.
Hey, it's me, Lelee, and you're listening to the Gentleman's Podcast.
Yes, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. At this time, I got my special guest. As y'all know, this is the Dating Talk Series Part 3, and I got my guest, Miss Lelee, in the building. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Yes, how you doing? I'm good. And welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so you ready?
Yeah, as ready as I'm going to be.
All right. So before we get to the main topics, we going to get to know you a little bit. So we're gonna start with this. So where are you from?
Well, right now I live in Long Island City, but I was in Brooklyn for the last 2 years, so I just relocated a few months ago, which is okay. But I truthfully miss Brooklyn.
Okay. Nice. Brooklyn, always in the building. You know, Brooklyn in the building.
Yeah. Especially summers in Brooklyn, so I'll miss it a lot the next couple of months because that's what I'm used to. But I'm trying a new borough, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, Long Island City is nice out there as well. I mean, like, they got their own spots out there for Long Island City, so yeah, you're pretty sure you're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Ask me again in a few months.
All right, so how would you describe yourself as a person?
Okay, let me see. Well, I'm female. I'm in my early to mid 30s. I'm a Gemini by trait, as you know, in terms of being a communicator. We're overall fun. We get a bad rap for that whole like two-faced thing, but truthfully, it's just a matter of like balance. So people don't look into that. So they see twins, they're like, "Oh, you guys are troubled." It's like, give us a chance. But you know, I'm a really good friend. As I'm super loyal. That's probably a big trait of mine. Anybody who's like gotten to know me or has friended me for a really long time could usually attest to that because I'm big on loyalty in terms of friendships. Outside of my zodiac, I mean, it's hard to say. I'm an ENFP. Are you familiar with Myers-Briggs?
Hold on, repeat that last part real quick.
Myers-Briggs. It's like a personality test. Are you familiar at all?
Nah.
Okay. Well, I'm a psych major, so it's good. I'll send you the link. You should do it just for your own curiosity, since we're all home with nothing but time. So Myers-Briggs it's from Carl Jung. It's a theory test on personality preferences, and they break you into 4 dimensions. So because I qualify as an ENFP. So it stands for, E is like either extrovert or introvert in terms of where you focus your attention. So I'm led as an extrovert, right? The next one, what did I say? EN. So N is for intuitive. So the way you take in information could be either from like sensory or being intuitive. So I'm the N. ENF. F is for feeling or thinking in terms of how you make decisions. So either you're basing it on how you think or how you feel. So I'm on F. And then ENFP. P is for perceiving. So either how you deal with like your environment, the outside world. Either you're judging or perceiving. So that's what I qualify as an ENFP, which is like extrovert, intuitive, feeling, and perceiving or perceptive. Typically, those people are really kind, warm-hearted. We're super sympathetic. We're affectionate. We're just warm-hearted people. We're spontaneous. A lot of us end up working in like healthcare or like nonprofits. So I was a psych major. So initially it was part of, it was classwork, but looking into it, it's really informative and it was really spot on. And also it connects you with other aspects of your life in terms of things that would work for you, which is, like I said, the career. They match you with romance, relationships, also friendships, and just the way that you carry life and the balances that you would need just to kind of make you successful on your trajectory. So it's the Myers-Briggs test. Most people in that field of psych would be familiar with it, but it can work for anybody. So it was really informative, and that's definitely me to a T. And I was really surprised after taking the test how accurate it was. I'll send you the link if you want.
No, send me it. Interesting. Now you got me want to try it now. Send me that link.
I will. So I was surprised, and what's funny is it matched me with someone I'm not gonna say, but it gave me a personality trait, and then I had like an ex who was one of the more important ones, right? Because not all matter. But I reached out to him and I asked him what his trait was, and it was that. And I was like, oh, of course. Because how convenient. So, it was exactly who I was supposed to be with. But it's super accurate. It's super accurate and interesting. So remind me before we go, but I'll definitely send you the link. I think it's like 10 or 15 minutes, but it asks you a lot of questions about yourself. Really just how you act in certain situations. And then it gives you your thing at the end.
I'll definitely going to try it. After you send me that, I'm going to try it.
Okay. All right, good. So, yeah, so I'm ENFP and I'm a Gemini. That's all that I can throw at this point.
Nice. All right, so what do you like to do at your own time?
Well, I said I'm an extrovert. I'm truthfully kind of like an extroverted introvert. Like I love hanging out with my family and friends. However, I do like to do a lot of things solo. I like listening to I love live music, local artists. I like going to those things with people, but I do a lot by myself. I just like being exposed to new activities, and New York gives us so much of that. So I feel kind of lucky to be able to have that access living in the city. Well, I guess I used to have that access because quarantine has shut so much of that down for us. Right. Yeah. So it's funny because it makes you, it magnifies what in your social life, I guess what you were doing with your free time, you can really assess how you were spending it. So I really miss live music, live comedy, Broadway, going to the games. I mean, right now we're off season, but I love going to basketball games. So, the little stuff I'm used to doing, going to the theater, even going to the movies. I can watch movies at home, but I like actually going to the theater. Not a regular theater. I like to go to the nice ones. Not bougie, but I'm not going to any rowdy crowd or popcorn on the floor. No, I'm not doing that. But I love going to the theaters that so I can see the movies first. And also I like going to film festivals. BAM has one, the one in Brooklyn. They have one. It's an African American film festival every year. It's around this time actually, and they show independence and they show independent films and documentaries. And I love going. It's usually around this time, just so you can see different local artists and people trying to get their stuff, I guess on front stage, so to support local artists. So I love that part, but I miss that. But I do like watching films, documentaries. So I guess I'm a bit creative. So that's usually how I spend most of my time.
Okay, nice. All right, so what is your favorite type of music?
Let me see. I mean, I like good music, but I guess that's relative, right? So, I mean, if I had to pick, I would probably pick R&B, just because that's my first go-to. But I probably R&B that's been it would likely be an artist who's been established 10 years ago. If that makes sense, just because I don't listen to the radio as much anymore. I listen to a lot more podcasts. But then also a lot of stuff on the radio I can't really relate to. Unless I hear it when I'm out and about, or if it hits my news feed, I won't even I don't know half of the people's Shade Room posts. And I'm not that old. I just don't care.
You're not the only one, trust me. You're not the only one.
So thank you. That feels so much better because I'm definitely who is this? I'm losing it. They posted, I won't say, but I was just I don't know who half these people are. I must be entering a different group. But so I definitely like R&B. I love let me see, Neo, Jodeci, Brandy. I mean, who doesn't like Beyonce? But not Jill Scott, although I listened to her tonight. I do like her. Who am I thinking? Jasmine Sullivan. Classics like Stevie Wonder. I play New Edition, Whitney, Mariah. So I mean, I love that. So where are we? We're in 2020, so 2010 to the 2000s, maybe the 90s. That's my realm of music. That's my playlist. If you go on my title, it's usually that. But I have some stuff of today. I love Nicki, Beyonce, but I definitely prefer the R&B from that era, just because it was about more. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, I had a different feeling.
Exactly. I mean, I agree. I'm more big on old school music, from the '90s and back. So I'm the same way. So
are you?
R&B. Yeah, I'm definitely an R&B fan.
Okay.
big R&B. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's exactly. So okay, so you understand what I'm saying. So
Yeah,
good.
definitely. Yeah, I definitely understand you.
And that's why I was saying I miss the stuff in New York, because you have so many local artists and some who really sing, but they may not make the industry because of, I don't want to say the industry, but they're maybe climbing, but because of like some physical aesthetics or whatever, they're not frontline, but they can sing really, really good. So New York gives us the opportunity to be able to, I guess, see them and appreciate that music.
Yeah, that definitely. Yeah.
Can you hear me? I hear like scratching. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you. Good. You
Okay,
good.
sorry.
You good.
Just checking. Yeah. So
No,
anyway,
you good.
that was my. I guess that's my preference in terms of music, but I'm open.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm open too, but I'm more R&B more than anything. Old school R&B at that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's where it's at and where it's been.
Yeah. You know, it bring so when you listen to old R&B, it bring out, you can actually feel the emotion.
Yeah. I mean, there's some that still carry it. Like I feel like Tank is still he can sing, you know, but it's hard because of the direction that things have taken. I mean, Usher has maintained, like, he's maintained mainstream, but he also has kind of changed his direction, I guess, to include a newer audience. It's worked for him, you know. I mean, it's worked in terms of the techno and stuff, but those of us who appreciate him for the R&B, he hasn't left us. Like, his albums still include a lot of that, even if his singles are for, like, not the younger generation, but whatever, you know, just to get on the radio. He still has that, but the album still caters to us.
Yeah, that's true. Especially like the last album was strictly like kind of like trap. If you could remember the last album.
Sadly, I can't, and that's my problem. I mean, I gotta think of I remember Moving Mountains, and then there was Good Kisser. There was a few, but then he tends to change. He tends to change. So, but you know, like I'm just saying, there's some artists that still there's still some R&B artists that are still relevant, but it's not as much as it was 10 years ago, which is why that's kind of my area.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Okay, so now we're gonna switch it up a little bit. Now we're gonna get to the main topics, you know, which is the relationship questions.
Okay.
So we're gonna ask you some relationship questions now. All right. So all right, so how do you feel about dating in this generation?
You mean like in this day and age? I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, probably dating is really easy, maybe too easy to be honest, due to technology. You know, I mean, I think when people were dating 10, 15 years ago, you kind of had to date who you would run into, right? And so geography played a part. But now people, I guess the problem is the lack of investment, because people can swipe right or left whenever they come across an aspect of something or someone they're not in love with, and just try something new. So there's no reason to invest in somebody, because you can easily meet another person. However, it may not be a good person for you, but it depends on what that person's looking for. People have way more options than they did before. So I guess the lack of investment is probably the downfall. But however, on the flip side of that, I think it gives us so much more exposure that we didn't have before. So much more exposure. We can meet someone that we have a lot in common with, besides just living near each other or going to the same gym or working together. You know, you can meet somebody that maybe lived in your neighborhood and relocated, or never did, but you could have a bond or create a bond based on who you are as people versus just where you tend to live. And people could move, so you could meet someone in DC, fall for them, and then one of you could relocate and vice versa. And that could be made possible because of online.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So have you ever dated online? And what did you do? You try it. How would that experience go?
In terms of dating online?
Yeah,
I mean, I've done it. It went well. I mean, so it varies, right? So for me, it's been great. I can't speak for everybody. I can speak for myself. I mean, I do find in person. However, again, I'm subject to only meeting somebody who's at the same establishment as myself. Online allows me to filter by interests or aspects that I may be seeking. and vice versa. So someone could seek out me based on whatever attributes I have listed or whatever pocket the site put me in and so forth. Granted, some people online can be misleading, but people can be misleading in person as well. So I think online dating gets a bad rap for catfishing, but you can be catfished in person just because the person looks like themselves. If you meet them like out in a, I don't know, restaurant, bar, supermarket, wherever, doesn't mean that they're being honest with you in terms of where they reside, what they do for work, if they're married and have children. Like, people can lie to you regardless if they're online or if they're in front of you. So I think online dating gets a bad rap, but I have had good experiences. So I don't want to taint that with sounding like that online is just a bunch of, not catfish, but it's hopeless, because I definitely have met great people from that. The only thing that's weird, like to be honest, I hate when I run into somebody that you've seen online and they approach you. Not because, it'd be great if you went out, but if someone you never went out with and they recognize me and they'll approach me, and if I haven't like answered a message or haven't like agreed to a date, and they come up to me in the street, or I'm at like I've had it happen at a festival, and especially because you don't know how many times they look at your profile, so they could become very familiar with you, like physically, and so you don't know who you're speaking to. So if they come up to you and call you by name, it's weird. So that's the downfall, to be honest, that I didn't love about online. But it's a catch-22.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I hear you. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's it. So I have done it. I'll do it. I guess I would do it again if the need be. I don't have anything negative to say about it. But like I said, it's the same roll of the dice as it can be meeting in person. Only difference is someone could lie about their appearance, and then I guess when you see them in person, they could either be using someone's other photo. I haven't had that, but I heard that happens. Or they could be like, guys tend to use photos from when they were like in college football players. They do that all the time, especially the older the guy gets. They reference college like it was 2 days ago. So they post old. I've heard girls do it too, but I'm just saying. I don't date women, so I can't speak on them. But that's the only thing, that they'll post old photos. But again, all that comes out in the wash when you finally have your first date, if you get there.
True. All right, so what is your relationship status, and how long have you been single or taken?
Well, I'm not married, but I am dating. I'm not married, but I'm definitely dating. So, and I've been dating for a while at this point, although I admit quarantine has definitely kind of changed the way that we're able to date at this point, just because of the limitations.
Yeah, that's definitely true. That's funny, because that's the next question. Like during quarantine, how have it been communicating, and how did it affect you? That's funny. That's the next question.
Oh, what did you say? Sorry.
How the communication been during quarantine, and did it affect you in a bad way?
Oh, okay. So communication, I guess you're able to communicate the same, but the problem is that you can't. The activities that you do while you're dating are limited. Granted, people are violating the stay-at-home order, especially in New York. If you saw the photos at that on the West Side, so some people don't care. But I personally am not one of them. Like, it's not worth my public health risk to see a guy, like, not to me anyway. So I know people are dating and people are doing 6 feet dates and all that. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to the ER over a date. These men will be. I don't care. These men will be there when the quarantine is over. Truthfully, probably even more, the way the divorce rate has been climbing since this quarantine. Have you seen that? There's been a peak in divorce inquiries with law firms.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, so anybody who is single during quarantine, be calm. You will have double the options after quarantine. Because quarantine will make or break a relationship. Especially if you weren't 100% about it going in. It makes you magnify each other because all you have in that space is each other.
Yeah.
So if you can't be with someone during this, then you may not want to be with them, and that will become painfully obvious during this, I guess, experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
so when it comes to God, do you have a certain type?
To have a certain what?
Type.
What do you mean by type? Like, can you clarify?
I mean, like, do you have a certain type? Like, you know how girls go for, women go for, like, nice guys or street type or.
I guess. I mean, you said street type?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to explain that.
Well, okay. I guess in terms, I mean, I don't have. I guess if you mean like physically, I don't have. Not really. I mean, aside from height, but it's more of a preference, I guess. But that's probably more an insecurity about myself. I think when I was younger, so for one, I always wear a lot of heels. But I think when I was younger, I felt uncomfortable about being the tall girl. But now I don't mind. I kind of own it. And truthfully, some of the best men I've encountered were under 6 feet, or even my height or shorter. I'm 5'7", like a weak 5'7", a strong 5'8". I'm in between the two. But so usually I have had experiences dating guys around my height, and they've been really good men. So at this point, I don't have a preference about height, but I think when I was younger, I probably did, or just what I would be like, not attracted to, but what I would ballpark in terms of what I was looking for. But now through experience, you learn like men over 6 feet can be a little spoiled because many, it's true. They get a lot of complimentary women just for being over 6 feet, which is insane.
True.
Yeah. I think because so many women want a tall guy so they can open with that. Like, I'm a 6 feet asshole, but I'll call you tomorrow, and women will jump at it. So like, I want a guy who can offer more than just his height. So height's not a deal breaker, but hygiene is. Like, a guy should have good hygiene. Like, so seriously, I mean, someone will tell you they showered, but please. So like, it's super important. Like, especially with COVID, you learn who's filthy and who isn't. People should, like, men, I feel like they should smell good, and they should shave well. Like, take care of your body the same way you would want a female to take care of hers. That's how I feel in terms of like physical appearance for a guy. Otherwise, a man can be, I guess, so passionate about something in terms of what type I would like. I don't like shallow men, so sometimes I get that. I'm not a fan. But I like men with manners for sure, like gentlemen. Like, no manners, no date. That's how I feel. And a decent dresser, so neither one of us are embarrassed when we're out. Like, dress for where we're going. Like, act like you have some sense. And I'm pretty open outside of that as long as I'm treated well.
That's all that matters. As long as you treat it well, is all that matters.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised. I think it depends on what someone thinks is treating you well.
Yeah, true. You're right with that too. You're right with that as well.
So not everybody would like do, one guy's version of being good to you could be like, I don't know, like making sure you got home okay. Then another one could be like, you can go for a couple of days without a date, and then not a days without like communication. And then you can follow up and nothing happened. Like, oh, we're still cool. Like, it's weird. So I guess it's relative in terms of who you ask. Yeah. What would be appropriate in terms of treating a female well. I think the easiest thing a guy could do is ask.
Yeah, true. You're right. That's true.
Ask a female. They don't want to because it's lazy. But you can ask a female, like, what do you consider being treated well? How would you want me to treat you? And a girl will tell you. And then it can help you figure out what type of female she is.
You're right. That's true.
It's worth it. Mm-hmm. Just my opinion.
No, that was a good answer. That was actually a good answer. That is a good answer.
You should ask them. You ever had a girl ask you like verbatim what you want from her?
I think a few people did.
Did it help or hurt the relationship?
Kind of half and half.
Really?
Yeah, it helped it a little bit, but some things hurt it a little bit as well.
Maybe because of the honesty. Some people can't handle that.
Yeah.
But I think if you're meeting someone, especially if you're meeting them in some sort of romantic, I don't want to say setting, but intention, if you are aware of what that person wants or is looking for or what they're receptive to up front, it can help you decide what you do and what you don't want to engage with.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
Early on, instead of finding out the hard way. Like if a girl wants you to have like sex with animals, it'd be good for you to know up front, you know? I mean, that's extreme, but if you asked her and she, you know, she could tell you up front, then you could decide like, okay, do I want to continue this, or maybe she's not for me? But it doesn't hurt to ask.
True. Yeah, I might start asking now. I might start asking. That's good.
I had one guy ask me that, and I'd never been asked it before, but it set the tone of our relationship for sure. I'm not gonna say what he asked. I'm not gonna say what I said, but it was definitely something of like not what are you looking for, but what do you want from me in this situation? Like, you know, how can I get you to where you need to be, get you where you want to be with me in a way. And it was very direct. And I guess he was like very business oriented, so I guess the way he moves in general is very straight to the point. But I'd never been asked that, and I have to admit it was a great question because it made me think, like, well, what do I want? Like, you know, I guess, and I had to be clear. And once I was clear with it, he made a decision whether he wanted to meet that need or not, and he did, truthfully. But I think that it set the tone for our relationship because we were able to be super honest with each other.
Nice.
It was nice. I agree. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So, in a relationship, does age matter to you?
Does someone's age matter? I guess to a degree. I think it would depend who you ask. I mean, I can only speak for myself. Yeah. I prefer maturity. Mm-hmm. But I admit, like, I've been exposed to mature men, which is why I'm saying that now. Previously, you know, I had only dated a certain type of guy, so at that time in my life, that's all I knew. Once you date someone who's mature, it's hard to go back to someone who's immature. Yeah. You can't, right? See?
Yeah, that's true.
You feel me, right?
Yeah,
like you
that's
can't,
really true.
You start looking at them differently. You almost can't help it. It's like going from baked mac back to boxed mac and cheese. Right?
Yeah.
You can't.
No, you're right.
It's never the same. It never hits the same, and you're never satisfied. So, for me, like, I know we're talking about age. I'm just saying, I don't want to put a number on age, but definitely like maturity. I guess when you talk about age and older men, I mean, I think my experience, a lot of older men can be more established in terms of what they want in their life, but they also know what they want and who they are because they've been that for quite some time, and they may not be open to any type of change. Not that you're looking for them to change, but that's one thing that comes with dealing with someone who is maybe older than you. You know, they may not be looking to, I don't want to say communicate, but you know, like when two people like agree on something, I'm fighting for the word. But basically, like, they may not meet you halfway. That would be hopeful. Yeah. But yeah, they're not really, they kind of know what they want. And they also have had life experience more than me to know that they can get it. Because they can ask. Like I told you, they can just ask, what are you looking for? Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm not going to do. And it's up to you to be on board or not. But I'm sure the same thing goes for older women, right? Like the older the female may be, she has less time for, not BS, but she knows what she's looking for and what will or won't work for her. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you might know that better than me, but I would imagine the older someone gets, you just have more life experience. If we look at if we look at who we were 10 years ago, will we still date the same person we dated 10 years ago, knowing what we know about ourselves now? I mean, how old am I? Truthfully, the person I dated 10 years from now, he wasn't a bad guy. So that's a trick question because that's the one exception. But everyone surrounding him was like pure trash. So I just didn't know any better. So now that I've had so much more life experience, I carry myself differently, but I also don't expose myself. I'm more selective about who you deal with because I can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you say?
No. I'm about to ask you the next question. I'm about to ask you the
Oh,
next question.
sorry. No, you just got me thinking about it because I'm like, I guess I don't really have an age thing. I mean, at the end of the day, men are men, so all you can do is find someone who works for you. But I don't think I have a preference for like age. I guess it's just more of the way they act, where they are in life. Like,
I know. For me, I don't know. For me, I'm more into older. I'm more into older women.
really?
Yeah, for some reason.
Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, that is me though. But I mean, people my age is alright. I'm not really big on younger unless I really got like a good connection with them. But
Really?
yeah,
What do you find more appealing about older women?
I guess because like you said, not into games. They're more established. They pretty much majority know what they want and stuff like that. Yeah.
I agree. Okay, interesting. I mean, you would know better than me, but yeah, I agree.
All right. So, what is your definition of love?
My definition of love. Well, it's funny. So my old professor, the one that introduced me to the Myers-Briggs Test, he's a psych professor, obviously. He used to always tell me, like, as he went through relationships, he would say, for example, he would simplify it for me. He would say he never, for example, around the house, that he never dries his dishes. And that he realized when it came to finding a mate, he can always wash his dishes. He just needs someone to dry them. Right? As like a partnership. So when you learn people, and when I switched gears like school-wise, and that became my focus, you do realize it is a successful partnership. Do I think every partnership has love? Not all. Some, they probably have a balance of other things. But I feel like that partnership is a foundation, a successful foundation for like love, if it's there. I think that's the luckiest aspect of this. Outside of that, I would imagine, I guess for me, love is like an intense attraction or feeling for like something or someone. Like I love cheesecake and I could love, so I feel like you don't have to love a person, you can love a thing. So it varies, but I feel like it's a strong, like intense feeling.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love food, so that helps.
There you go. Sometimes more than people, so it depends on the person.
Yeah, definitely true. So have you ever been in love? I'm pretty sure you have, but have you ever been in love?
I have. It feels like a high, truthfully, when you're in the thick of it, right? So I could understand why people make I can understand people make poor choices, or not the best choices, when they're in their heart instead of their head. Because love kind of makes you feel dizzy. People call the rose-colored glasses, and you tend to not see, I don't want to say red flags, but maybe like orange, or yellow. I think because it's tunnel vision when you're in love. It's not a bad thing, but I'm just saying it's an aspect of it. But on the other side, it's a nice feeling, it's a nice high, and I think it's a blessing when you're able to find it, even if it's fleeting. I just feel like in life, it's important to enjoy it while it's there.
Okay, nice. All right, so give us a good dating experience and your worst dating experience.
Okay, so this is so invasive. Let me think. So I guess for like a good dating experience, one of my favorites. Okay, so I guess that experience was a situation where the good thing about it was I felt like he took care of me or took care of things without me having to ask him or direct him with what was needed. I feel like those are the best type of men, the ones who are one step ahead of their partner. You can't beat those ever. So that stands out to me just because of that dynamic and having a support that you don't even realize you need, but you recognize it when it's there. So that was a good situation. And it's funny, I didn't even know who he was when I met him. Like, I was just being myself. I remember our first date, we went out. So I remember he sent me a car, and then when I arrived, he had made a comment about women not dating a guy without a car. And so I think I was like, well, I don't have a car, and I just moved here, so I was like, I did it at the time. And so I wasn't judging him, but it turned out he had a car, and like the next day he picked me up in it. It was like a luxury car at that. So he definitely pulled the right. He played me at first, but he pulled the wool over my eyes. But I wasn't judging him about that aspect. It was just the point that I'm making is that we met each other just being ourselves, and that's what kind of built the foundation for the rest of that experience. So it worked really well because you could be yourself and not be judged for like your assets or what you bring to the table. You can just be at that table. So that was amazing. That was a good. I would regret not working that one out, but I do. But that was I guess you're making me think about it. But yeah, that's a good thing. We were able just to be at the table and not look at what we brought to the table, even if we did bring amazing things to the table, you know. So I think it's good when you could just kind of be yourself. But I guess in terms of like good situations, there's that. I remember there's another really good guy. I remember he got my car fixed. And he lived long distance. People always say long distance doesn't work. I feel like it depends on the person because the effort can make or break the relationship. Like you live in New York, you see how long it takes to get from one borough to the other. Yeah, that can be considered long distance depending on how you look at it. But it depends on if you really want that person in your life, you'll make the exceptions. But same thing. I remember he got my car fixed, and I didn't even realize what was wrong with it. And this is long as he got a local body shop, parts, everything. Like again, being there when I didn't even realize I needed it is such a strong trait. In a relationship, just you don't have to do something for someone, but being a step ahead of them or being supportive in ways they don't even realize they need it. I think that's amazing because it can help solidify that foundation because you're adding avenues of support a person didn't realize that would benefit them or that they needed in their life. So that's just my experience. I mean, you know, I guess we're talking about dating, right? So yeah. I guess I was with them. I'm sorry.
No, it don't matter. It don't matter.
It's the Gemini in me. You got to keep me on track. So I'm sorry. So I know we're flighty. I should have said that when you asked me what am I? Like we are all over the place. Okay. So you asked about dating. So I was actually with him, but you know we started off as dating. So I guess overall, like a good date is when you connect with someone and you go home not regretting that you went. Even more important, like I'm a female, so getting dressed up for a date that's not worth it is the worst. Like there's nothing like wasting your Fenty and Chanel on an unappreciative asshole. Like I would have you don't even know the half. Like that stuff is not cheap. So otherwise I could have wore like sweatpants, body spray, and Wet n Wild makeup, you know? And I knew he was gonna be a jerk. So there's nothing like that. But I think just having a good time and connecting and, you know, when you leave a date, comfortable with seeing that person again. Yeah. That's a good time, right? So
definitely is a good time.
Yeah. So what was the part you said the worst date?
Yeah, your worst dating experience, yeah.
Let's see. I had to think. I mean, it's been a while to be honest. Oh, you know what? So, okay, this was bad. It was a coffee date. This was years ago. I don't even do coffee dates anymore, okay? But just so I can give you, I have to say that because of how it went. So this was years ago, and I was young, which is why I probably agreed to it, which is probably why guys love young girls, and they don't know any better. So I agreed to this coffee date with this guy. We meet around 2:00, and we went to walk through a park with the coffee. We walked. And we walked and we walked, and he went on and on and on. And I kept thinking like maybe we would stop somewhere at some point and do something else or just like sit down. But we just kept going. So mind you, we met at 2 p.m. Before I knew it, it was like the sun set. I remember I was cold because I wasn't wearing a jacket because I didn't know how long I would be there. Maybe not wearing the right jacket. And my feet were killing me. Like my legs hurt. And it was like close to 7 p.m. So we met at 2, and now it's 7. 5 hours later, and we made it back through the park to our original starting point. And he has the nerve to be like, "Do I want another cup of coffee?" I was like, "No." I was like, "No." But I think I just was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go." But I was, you know, what's crazy? Like I remember, because this was years, I remember my legs hurting because I was tired. And I'm not out of shape, but it was just like, we've been walking all day on this single cup of coffee. This is ridiculous. So anyways, I left, we parted ways, and I went home. And I remember he called and asked to go out again for coffee. And then I did, and I declined. You know, and I mean, there's other things we could have did. Like even if like, you know how parks have like those shows they put on like plays and stuff.
Yeah,
like if there was
yeah.
anything, he could have been more creative, but he just exhausted me. I was exhausted. And then, you know, what was even worse, I remember not the only reason, but why I went out with him. I remember he worked with kids, and I was attracted to that at that time because I also did. But then during that walk, he admits to me that he hates kids and that his brother had founded his brother had founded a nonprofit. His brother had founded this nonprofit, and that he worked there just because his brother worked there, but that he hates children. That day was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. I was just trying to be open-minded, but I could not wait. So, yeah, that was a bad day. But it was just because it was, I guess, maybe it was inconsiderate. I mean, I don't know how else to I don't know what his thought process was, but I remember I was exhausted. I was exhausted because it was 5 hours of nonstop walking. It's like we were going on a hike. And if he, you know, like, and if he was, I would have dressed appropriately, or, you know, warn girls, don't just set them up like that. You know, that you want to just walk and talk all day. You know, say that. I thought we were maybe going to sit in the coffee shop. Like, I don't know what a guy's expectation is of a coffee date. Have you been on a coffee date?
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, I have.
Do you guys like walk and talk, or do you sit in the coffee shop?
I'm sitting in the coffee shop and then walk around.
I mean, I don't mind walking around, but like that was probably walking like 3 times through Central Park. I mean, it was 5 hours. It was 5 hours.
And you said you got no rest, no rest.
No, I mean, maybe he's super active. We might have sat down for a little bit, but no, we didn't do anything else. We just kept walking and kept talking. I mean, I'm not against coffee dates. The only thing is I feel like I'm not going to, I guess my attire, you know, so I thinking of how I'm going to dress up for, it seems very casual. So I'll put it like that. It's very casual, but I also had the trauma of that date. So I'll leave it at that. But yeah, that was a nightmare just because I at that point I realized I just didn't want to be there, but we walked so far I kind of had to walk back anyway. But yeah, so that's the worst one. I mean, I don't really go on a lot of bad dates, not anymore, to be honest. But that was a bad one, I guess, if I had to name one off the top of my head.
Okay. All right, so would you go on a reality show like The Bachelor or Love is Blind to find love?
Oh, you know, I actually watch those shows a lot. I love The Bachelor. I love Love is Blind. I do. I didn't, like, a few years ago, I kind of got hooked on one of the seasons of The Bachelor, and then I started watching it. I think when they had a black bachelorette, Rachel, that's when I started really watching it, but right before she got on. So anyways, I watched those, but I could never do it. I love the show Love is Blind. I remember Cameron was so cute. I think he was the best. I forget the girl's name. I think Janelle or something. The interracial couple. So they ended up together.
Oh, Lauren.
Lauren? Okay, sorry, Lauren. So, no, but I love them together. But I think he was just so attractive because it's so rare to see a guy be so open about his interest and intention with a female. It's almost hard to take in because it catches you off guard. But it's so comforting to watch them together. So I love that show. And I think I just like the aspect of being able to get to know someone for who they are and not just what they look like, because looks can be like a distraction sometimes. So I love that aspect of it. I personally couldn't go on those shows, but I love to watch them. I just wouldn't like my relationship having an audience. I couldn't do it. Like, I'm private in that way, even I'm not famous, but in my personal life, I'm very private about my love life, so I can't imagine putting it on front stage and allowing people to have an opinion without being present in the moment. So that part would bother me.
Okay, I feel you on that. Yeah, I'm private in my love life as well, so yeah. I feel you on that. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, so I love those shows, but I couldn't do it. But kudos to them.
But I don't know, but I might take a shot at. I might take a chance with Love is Blind. I don't know. That show was pretty interesting when I was watching it. So.
It was, and some of them stayed together. I think like 3 of them, 2 couples that stayed married. Yeah. And then I forget the girl that fell. There was one couple that they didn't get married, but they stayed together.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting concept when because they literally could not see each other, and they didn't have any TV, music. It was just them speaking.
I know, it was really interesting.
So I did really like the
show.
It did. I know, me as well. I didn't watch it when it first came out, but during quarantine, I've caught up on a lot of TV. I have, because I was usually so busy. But the show, I loved it. I loved it. I loved the concept. I guess I'm a romantic in some spots. I love seeing people, I guess, fall for each other. So it was good TV. I'm glad we have a lot of good TV during quarantine. So that was one of them.
Yeah. All right, so what do you have to say would be a perfect first date, or it could be just simple?
Wait, say that again. A perfect first date?
Yeah.
I guess for me, a perfect first date would be a combination of the atmosphere and who you're with. Probably like, let me think. So, sorry. So, I apologize. So, like, have you ever, for example, here's a good analogy. Have you ever been on a vacation and it was ruined by who you were with? I don't know if you travel. So, a first date is like that. You can go on a great like outing, but if you're with horrible company, it can change the outing for you, and that person. Yeah. So I mean, I've been lucky, so I can't say that what's not a good date these days. # can't relate. but overall, one good thing for me, it's easy. I'm easy. Like, I like, people usually know what I like. I like fine dining or going to a game, but I'm open to new things as well. Like, I can't go wrong with like a show or concert. I think you should make the date fun. So it should be something you enjoy. The reason I say that is because when you're enjoying yourself, you're in good spirits. And you're getting to know someone, right? You're getting to know someone who's also in good spirits. So it tends to be like your guard might be down a little bit because you're both experiencing something new. It's something fun. So that usually helps. It's just like when people go on vacation, they meet someone while traveling, and they have an amazing like affair or whatever, and then they come home and things aren't the same. It's like because you were in a honeymoon phase because things are going so well, So when you're in a good space, it makes for a good date, I think.
Okay, true. No, I agree. I agree with you. You're right. You're definitely right.
Yeah, so I think that makes it's hard to say. Like, I can't say a perfect first date where like you pick me up and like a horse-drawn carriage and like there's rose petals in my hair. Like, that's a bit much, Like, I don't care. I mean, that would be nice, but that doesn't make it a first date. Like, what if the guy's like, I've had a guy be drunk on a date.
Oh wow!
Before I even got there, yeah, that was horrible, and it was embarrassing to like the wait staff. So like, but he would have thrown rose petals and been in the horse-drawn carriage with me sloppy drunk. What good is that? So you need to have somebody that I guess has a great connection with you and also provides a great experience.
Okay, good. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Okay, so what do you feel is important in a relationship, and do you feel sex is important?
Okay. So I think communication is important. I think like stability is important. If we don't have a foundation, then we don't really have anything. So that's that part. I feel like the sex part is kind of a funny question. What makes you ask that?
I guess I'm curious to see what people would say. Because some people think like sex is not that important in a relationship, but some people think it is. I know for me personally, I mean, it is important, but I feel like I could do without it.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, all right. So from my perspective, I feel it's a factor, but I'd be lying if I said that it makes or breaks a relationship. Many people are in relationships now, some married, with people who don't sexually fulfill them, right? So sex is intimate. I'll say this. I feel like sex is intimate, and if you're not connected with your partner on other levels, then it's just sex.
Yeah.
And you can get that anywhere. When you level up, you can tell the difference. You can feel it. You can feel the difference.
Okay, true. You're right. All right. So, do you feel this generation believe in marriage?
I do. I love seeing. That's one good thing with social media. I love seeing the posts online of couples celebrating marriage, especially young couples, especially Black couples. I love seeing chocolate couples in my timeline to counter the media, which often shows like interracial couples or not including Black women, especially dark-skinned women. I love that there's actual, not proof, but I see it in my feed to counter that shows that we're out here and we're happy as well, regardless of what the media may portray. I think if someone wants to get married, that they should do so. But then also, I'll admit that me as a Black female, I love seeing women growing in their own skin and not being defined as marriage. There were times where women were legally defined as marriage, and if they weren't married, they legally didn't matter. I remember learning about the women's suffrage movement, and women couldn't even vote unless they were married or owned property. And I believe women couldn't own property without even being married. I mean, this is years ago, but I'm just saying the path that has been taken in terms of the importance on marriage. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a good TED Talk, so I know that's what this is about, so I won't get into it. But I have to say that there was even talk about women not even having rights to their own children, which is why men would marry women so they could own the children, and why females would take the man's last name. So that's what marriage, the institution of it, partially was initially based on, right? So now seeing women being able to grow in their own skin and be so much more than a wife, they're being independent, they're flourishing in finance, education. I mean, their own finance, right?
Yeah.
Even having families on their own. You think about women who couldn't work, we were reliant on the husband, all that stuff. So while this generation believes in marriage, and I love seeing it, I have to admit, I also love seeing women of this generation not being defined by marriage. We are so much more than just being a wife.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I like that. Women doing that as well. You know, not only staying home, but also going out working and stuff as well.
Yeah. So I mean, I know that's I don't mean to ramble, but I think I love the balance. I love. I do think they believe in marriage. I love seeing it, but I also love seeing women being entrepreneurs and not being defined by just having the attachment to a man. Like, we're able to be more than just that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I agree as well. All right. So if you had to go back in time to make up with any of your past exes, would you do it?
To make up? Let me see. I mean, probably. I mean, I'm a firm believer that excuse me. I'm a firm believer that timing is everything. So many of us, I think, have an experience where we met the right person at the wrong time or the wrong person at the right time, right? It can happen. I'm not a fan of living in the past, so I'm not going to make, quote unquote, something work that doesn't work. But I can be honest about not being in the right space for a relationship during its time in my life. Maybe being too young to want something serious and not looking to settle down at that time when someone was. Even if the guy was great, I think there's aspects where I hadn't lived enough and felt like I'd be shutting myself out. So that might be reasons why I was hesitant to, I guess, jump into that. I'm very one person. I don't date multiple people, so I usually do one at a time. So I think, at that time of my life, I was fearing that there might be something else out there for me, not just relationship wise, but in my life. So I think those could be factors. So talking about, let me see, a certain relationship. So I guess at that time I didn't give what I could have. So if I could do it all over again with that situation, I would. That's the guy I was talking about with the car. But aside from that, I mean, because that's, I think when I met him, like I said, we had a great relationship and it was just the timing for me. But aside from that, truthfully, I'm friendly with most of my exes. So I know when I'm not missing. So there's little to go back to. So I mean, I don't have anybody in my past that I'm dying to make something work. I think things happen for a reason or a season. I'm big on closing chapters. So there's nothing that I'm holding on to. But my past, like I'm not looking to my rearview mirror. I'm only looking to the left, the right, and straight ahead.
Okay, good answer. Well, Miss Lelee, thank you for having you on my show.
Well, thank you for having me. This was fun.
It was fun. It was fun. I really had fun having a conversation with you.
Yeah. If you ever want to talk about women's empowerment, let me know. Just kidding. I won't bore you.
No. I don't know. I wouldn't mind bringing you back on the show. I will bring you back on the show for a future episode. I'm not saying that right now. I will bring you back on the show for a future episode.
Okay. Well, I'll send you the Myers-Briggs thing when you have time, just because it's interesting, and I'm all for people learning more about themselves and self-growth. I'm big on that. So.
Okay. Nice. Yes, you'll send that.
Yeah.
And once again, thank you, and we'll be right back.
All right.
What's up, everybody? This your boy Ken, aka Mr. Gentleman of Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast, and I'm gonna tell you about Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your own podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and it's easy to use. Anchor can match you with great sponsorships who want to advertise your podcast, which means you get paid right away. Well, if you want to start your own podcast, just go to www.anchor.fm/start and you can start your podcast right away. This is Ken, and have a good day. You are now listening to the old school song of the day.